And that's the part that most people want to kind of ignore. And I was that person. So I was, a little over a year ago, I was working out, teaching all my classes when my nutrition was really not matching what I was putting in the gym. So I was looking the same for many years, and I wasn't looking how I wanted to look.
So, well, yes, and co. What does that mean exactly?
So co stands for company, and essentially, well, yes is the umbrella idea. So it's what I first birthed when I initially set out to be an entrepreneur. But I wanted to leave room to be able to sort of expand my reach and dabble into all of the things that I really love and somehow bring it all together. So I projected that I was going to not just have one business, but have multiple that ran under that business. And that's why I added "and company" to the name Well Yes.
Got it. So, how long have you been operating Well Yes?
So it's been about 2 years. I initially created Well Yes and Company with the idea of only pursuing wellness. That's what Well Yes means. So my name is Yessenia, and wellness, so replacing the N with a Y, is Well Yes. Started that and didn't really know where to start, as far as I knew my end goal, which was to have a location, a new wellness center, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. So I started 2 years ago, and I initially started with the activewear line.
Got it. So you have the wellness center.
I don't have it yet,
Okay.
but I'm so much closer 2 years in than I was when I first got the idea.
Got it. So how do you turn your passion into business and still actually like what you do?
I think just approaching passion with purpose, and having a plan about where I want to go with it, and then taking small steps. So my passion was fitness and fashion. And so I've been intertwining those two things into Well Yes. And that's just making it more exciting. Like, the more that it all aligns and makes sense, then the more that I'm able to continue using my passion to create business.
Got it. And so you've been into fitness your entire life?
Essentially, since I was 14 years old.
Okay. And what made you get into it?
Well, when I was a teenager, I had a lot of things going on, and I sort of struggled with a lack of sense of belonging. And at the same time, I needed to have a job, very young. So I just so happened to get one of my first jobs in the front desk of a fitness center. And that was pretty much where I was able to not just learn about fitness, but also get to play around with, doing fitness, doing exercise. And that sort of helped me find like my own sense of security and comfort from a very young age.
Got it. So I'm slowly learning that there's so many different chapters to fitness. So what area of fitness would you say you like specialize in?
So I'm a personal trainer, and I'm also a group fitness instructor. Some of the classes that I teach are cycle, or known as spinning, and also weight training, so strength and conditioning. So really, when it comes to fitness, I'm just about coaching and weight training and cardio, and intertwining that with mind and spirit wellness.
So how does the mind and spirit wellness part of it work?
So essentially, in my classes, I like to promote a lot of mental wellness and, affirmations, as far as, overcoming obstacles. So I really try to make the connection for people between what they're doing in the class or in the gym and how they are outside of the gym. I try to get them to understand that there is a connection. They need the gym to help with their mental state, but also when they come into the gym, they need to come in with the right mindset.
Got it. So mindset conditioning, what made you want to implement that in standard fitness? I know a lot of people that just, hey, you get your training and that's it, you go home.
Yeah. I think it's just personal experience. So because fitness for me served like a mental health purpose from when I first started. I just didn't realize that was what was happening. But through, my young adult years, and then, now as an adult, fitness has been what has helped me through so many different tragedies. And so I've seen like firsthand the power of really working on your mental state, allowing yourself to clear your mind while you're, doing something that is fitness related. And that has been empowering for me. And so that has pushed me to really want to get that message across for anybody that I ever work with in fitness.
Okay. And so when you work with people, what are some of the limiting beliefs that you encounter from them, as far as like they think it's too hard, or they don't want to stick to like a regimen or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely those two things. So they might feel like they don't fit in the gym. That's one. They also feel like they aren't strong enough to do whatever it is that they need to do. They also feel like they don't look good enough yet to be in that crowd or in that group of people who are in a class or working out. And they feel like they can't keep up with it consistently.
Okay. And so how do you work through that encouragement process for them?
So I have a quote that just is like, just show up anyways. It's not one that I made up, but it's just one that I've used a lot. Just show up anyways. And I try to just push for that. If you just get to the class, if you just get to the session, together we'll take care of the rest. And that's pretty much the biggest thing. Just show up. And then I always make sure that I create a challenge for them that is, the bar is like up here. Because if I get them up trying for this and then they up high and then they're short of it, they're still going to be high. So I kind of set just like these really not unrealistic but way to the top goals for them as far as what their body can do, and so that they're pushing for that, and then even if they don't make it, they still surpassed what they thought that they could do.
And so how do you define these like limits? Like, when does somebody know like I've done too much, or they can push even more?
It depends on the class, right? So like in cycle, I'm riding with them. So I'm in the struggle with them. And so I'm making it challenging for me. And if it's challenging for me, I already know it's like crazy challenging for them. But what I like about doing it that way is that they're trying to follow me and they're working really hard to follow me. But I'm even trying to follow a goal for myself. So I'm even pushing myself. So they're seeing me in the struggle. They're seeing me actually hurting when we're, in there. And then they're trying to go for that. And pretty much I just tell everybody, like, listen to your body. I teach them to listen to your body, just like I'm listening to my body. So if you need to take a break, if you need to slow down, if you can't get those 100 jumps in and you only get 60, that's okay. I don't care how many times you slow down or stop, don't do a rep, but just don't quit. Keep on going, keep on pushing. And I think that's the key. They create that mindset that they can continue to overcome obstacles, that even if they have a setback, they can still push through. That even if they're not doing what the other people are doing, they're still doing amazing. And so when they live that, then their mindset changes and they can apply that outside of that spin room.
Got it. And so how is it, that some people seem to go to the gym all the time, but it almost as if nothing really changes?
Well, there could be a couple of reasons for that. When you say nothing changes, you mean physically?
Yeah. Like, like I know some people that go to the gym, and they're fit enough people, but they do it like 4 or 5 days a week and they look exactly the same a year from then.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One could be if they don't have definitive goals, if they haven't decided what they want their result to be, and they don't have a goal, they're just kind of going just to maintain. There's a lack of a plan there, right? So if there's no end goal, then there's definitely no plan. So they're just winging it. So that's one thing that I see, right? People going all the time, absolutely no change. Another thing that I see is people going all the time, no change, is because their nutrition, when they're outside of the gym, is not supporting what they're doing in the gym. So it's really 80% what you're intaking,
Mm-hmm.
and the other 20% is what you're doing in the gym. And that's the part that most people want to kind of ignore. And I was that person. So I was, a little over a year ago, I was working out, teaching all my classes when my nutrition was really not matching what I was putting in the gym. So I was looking the same for many years, and I wasn't looking how I wanted to look. So lack of goal and plan, poor nutrition, pretty much that. If you don't have a plan, you're not following a structured program, then you really don't have anything to assess for progress monitoring.
Got it. So when you say 80% is nutrition, like, how does that even work? Like, what does that exactly even mean? Like, what foods should we be eating or not be eating?
That would be like an entire three episodes of a podcast. But and I'm not a certified nutritionist, so everything that I know is just from experience and research as a fitness professional, and also my own personal experience. So I've learned a few things along the way, and I've also applied or had to apply some of those things to myself. So I speak, from that standpoint, not from a scientist or a doctor's standpoint. But essentially, everybody needs a certain amount of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins every single day. And there are a lot of diets and a lot of rumors and myths that one or all three of those are terrible and you need to cut them all out. So there are different versions of that narrative. And so that's the key, right? So these are the things that your body needs. So if you're giving yourself the right amounts of those things from the right foods, then you're going to have good nutrition and you're going to see the results in the gym. But if you're getting, eating the bad fats, eating the bad carbs, getting protein from low quality sources, and you're going way above the amount of what you actually need for your body composition and goals, then that's when you're not going to see any results in your body. Or you might see adverse results like, being overweight or pudgy in certain areas that you don't want to be.
So what do you think is behind, like, some people, or I know two people, both are 5'8", and they both weigh 190 pounds, but one person looks, a lot bigger than the other individual, and they're both the same weight. Why is that?
So essentially muscle weighs more than fat. So you can see someone really fit and then someone that doesn't look fit at all, and they can weigh the same. So that's one thing. Like I've always weighed more than, or looked like I weighed less than how much I actually weighed. Because I've been weight training for so long that I've always just had a lot of muscle, even though I had like fat also around it. But now I weigh less, but I look more toned and defined than I did before.
Got it. So when you say bad fats and bad carbs, what exactly is that, or are those?
So again, I'm not like super, I don't have an extensive list. I just have like, the basics. So we have the simple carbs and the complex carbs. And so you want both of them. You just want them in moderation. So they give you the energy that you need. And you want to, limit the amount of, like, let's say white potatoes, rice, like what people consider, oh, these are the bad ones. They make you gain weight. You still do need them to some degree because they provide you energy. But then you have the carbs that are going to be a little better for you, like oatmeal or whole grains. So it's like choosing the healthier option and also limiting the amount that you take in.
Got it. Okay. So myth time. So there's a lot of things when it comes to eating meat or not eating meat, vegan or not vegan. So is it a myth that you don't get enough energy or protein if you're vegan, and that can affect your health? Versus I hear, going to be a vegan, you eat super healthy, but where's the balance in the two?
Yeah. So I will say that I don't eat meat. I was a vegetarian, by definition, a vegetarian for longer than I've been playing around with veganism.
Mm.
And so I had just done like a 7-day juice cleanse, and I was feeling great. And I decided a couple years back, you know what? I just went through all that. It was rough, and I'm not going to eat any more meat. Just things I had been reading about how long red meat stayed in your body, how hard it was, to digest, and how you didn't necessarily need it to get your protein. So I stopped eating meat, and then I almost like switched and started eating a lot of bread and cheese in place of steak and chicken. And this was part of what, contributed to me not looking to how I wanted to look, or it didn't match the amount of exercise I was doing. So it was just bread and cheese all the time in place of that protein. Wasn't getting any, enough protein, definitely not from the bread. And then I started having health issues around, inflammation, and that was causing, problem with my joints. And then that was affecting me physically for exercise. So I had to do a lot of research to figure out, well, what is it? What is causing inflammation? And that was when I started to say, I'm going to let go of cheese and dairy, which took me literally 2 years.
Wow.
I would try it, and then I would just go back, or I wouldn't be able to do it. Once I started to replace it or just take it out, dairy altogether, I mean, it just had like the most incredible difference in my body, like inflammation. I lost 40 pounds, not just from dairy, but for taking out things that cause inflammation, and those bad carbs and that dairy was really contributing to that. I reversed an autoimmune disorder in 1 year, and I just feel overall better, like adult acne minimized, felt more balanced as far as hormonal. So it made a big difference.
Wow, dairy did that.
Yeah.
That kind of concerns me, because I love lasagna. I love all that stuff. So
Yeah.
do you find yourself having enough energy? How do you, what are some of the things that you eat that give you more energy or make you feel sustained, to where you're like, oh, people that eat meat, like, oh, this is extra protein and this and that.
Yeah, and thanks for circling back to the original question. I was like realizing that I needed to hit back on the protein. So as a vegan, I still get my daily protein. Actually, sometimes I go over what I need for protein, as far as, what I have determined are the numbers that I need for those macronutrients. So I, in place of meat, I do still eat hard-boiled eggs. So I'm like that strain of vegans that still eat eggs. So I do have hard-boiled eggs, avocados, different kinds of nuts, almond butter, protein shakes, different green vegetables have protein. So when you start really like putting your mindset onto what you're taking in and seeing food as energy and fuel, you start to realize that you can get these things that are important from a variety of foods that you didn't know you can take it from. And so as long as you're getting the right amount, you're going to have the right energy that you need for the day. You're only going to have lack of energy if you're not substituting meat with the right sources of protein.
So what I see a lot of vegans doing, and it's interesting because some of it will actually taste pretty good, is swapping meat out for mushrooms and then just like seasoning it to make it like crunch. Like I've had mushroom chicken where they called it chicken, but it's like mushroom, but it tastes good just because of the seasoning. So why do our minds process it in that type of way?
Honestly, I can't answer that, because I have no idea like why it just makes sense. Like, for example, there's eggplant parmesan. So if you like lasagna, or you like those kinds of Italian dishes, and you replace the meat with eggplant, but you still use like the seasoning and the sauce. They even have like the vegan cheese, which is a great replacement as far as taste. There are all kinds of information out there and findings that, those aren't even healthy for you. So there's always contradicting information, being spread around. And I think people just have to do their own research, explore for themselves, and then make decisions for what they think is best for them. But when you taste something that tastes very similar to that food you used to eat, but it had meat in it, but you realize it's not meat, it's a vegetable. It's actually better for you. It's going to flow a little more smoothly through your system, but it could still provide you what you need, and it still tastes just like it. So it tastes good. Then you make the connection to the flavor, but not so much to the ingredient.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that it sounds easier than I know it is for sure. And so that leads me to the question, is it easier for somebody to, let's say both people have the same mindset. Is it easier for somebody to lose weight to get fit? And especially if they want to be at a target weight, or gain weight to get fit?
I mean, it depends on the person, right? Like let's say they're just a normal, healthy person. They don't have any health issues. I think in general, losing weight is harder because although on both losing and gaining weight, you do have to be intentional about your nutrition. You do need to have a plan. You do need to progress monitor. So, and you do need to be dedicated and consistent. So in both areas or both ways, both goals, you need to do kind of the same thing. What is different about the nutrition is that when you're losing weight, you are limiting yourself. You are having to be disciplined in a way where you stop yourself from having, temptations or making poor choices. And that's a hard part for people. And when you're gaining weight, it's almost like a little more fun. You get to sort of indulge a little bit more, eat a little bit more. It doesn't require as much self-control. Still requires discipline. But like I said, for a person who maybe doesn't like to eat that much, that could still be very challenging. In the same way that someone who loves to eat and is trying to lose weight, it's challenging for them to sort of say no. But if I had to pick one side, I would say that overall what you see the most is that difficulty in people losing weight to get fit.
Got it. So who or what is your ideal clientele look like? What, who would you see being part of Well Yes?
So everybody. Essentially, when I first created Well Yes, I had the vision that it was going to be targeting women because I'm a woman and I had worked with so many women that would take my classes that were moms just like me, or that, worked just as I did, were working moms, or just women, that were chasing their career. So I felt so much connection with the women that I was working with that when I created Well Yes, I envisioned that this space was going to be a space for women to come and learn about their wellness, explore their wellness or different avenues to their wellness, and just be in community pursuing wellness. But over time, I've been working over 10 years as an instructor, and I have created a very strong community of people that have transformed from just younger women to now I have older men, younger men and women, middle-aged men and women. I have large people, small people, fit people, people that are not fit, people from other countries who have come here and don't know English.
Oh, wow.
And haven't experienced that. So the community that I work with has just become so diverse that as I've been refining my vision for what Well Yes will look like, I see it more as a space for everybody and not just women.
Got it. Okay.
Anybody who wants to learn about their wellness and understand how their mind and spirit is connected to their body.
Got it. So there's always a lot of speculations online. How fast, if somebody, and you see them do it in these like the movies and stuff like that, like, I'll use a dramatic example. Like 50 Cent had a movie one time where I think he had to lose like 50 or 60 pounds, and he was extremely skinny. And there's been movies where people have to bulk up. How long, or is it possible to gain that summer body in 30 days?
So rule of thumb, when working with a client and just anyone that's interested in starting a program and getting committed and changing their body and really seeing results, is the 90 days, right? So in 4 weeks, you are feeling better. You are starting to feel a little bit stronger, like you have more endurance, you can breathe, you're more into it. You may see or feel a little bit of a difference, but you're just getting to it. After 8 weeks, people start noticing. They're like, hey, you working out? Or what are you doing? Or what are you not doing? Or what are you eating? Or who are you working with? And you're also noticing it. Maybe your clothes has changed. You're just feeling more comfortable or what have you. And then after 12 weeks, that's really where it's your lifestyle now. If you've been committed for those 3 months, by now, the habit's been created in nutrition, in consistency, in getting to the gym and working out, in resting and recovering, and it's part of your lifestyle. That's what's going to be sustainable, doing it that way. Any other way where you're trying to get drastic results in a short period of time, usually it won't be sustained. So I'm not sure what 50 Cent looks like now, but he's probably not as skinny as he was for that movie anymore. As soon as he was done filming, he probably bulked up. Or just, competitors, you'll see their body look completely different on the day of the competition, and then they go into bulking phase and they get soft and bigger. So it depends on the reason for the goal. If it's May and you're trying to get summer ready for June, you might take drastic measures. And if you want to maintain that look that you achieve, you just have to continue doing those things so that you can maintain that.
Got it. So how do you feel about a cheat day?
They're great. Just depends on what kind of cheating you do, right? And how extreme you take the cheating, right? So rest and recovery is important. I would consider the rest and recovery day your cheat day as far as physically, right? Because you're not training hard. You might do something light, little active recovery, or you might literally just take that day for full rest. And that's what your body needs. So your muscle needs time to repair itself and grow from the micro tears that you created in the workouts. And then as far as food, which I'm guessing is where you were mostly referring to, everything in moderation, right? Like you don't want to go crazy because then you're just being destructive and it defeats the whole purpose of why you're doing everything. And that's why we go back to mind. Mindset is so important in terms of how your body looks. How a person's body looks can tell you a little bit about their mindset. And it's not to be judgmental. It's just when I'm talking through a health lens, a health perspective. Like I would definitely not criticize, someone's body just because of the aesthetic, appeal. But I'm talking about their health, right? So mindset is important. And so if you approach your cheat day, right, as, I'm going to indulge a little bit because I want to enjoy my favorite chocolate or my favorite dessert or my favorite meal. Just be mindful about it. Be responsible. Don't make all 3 meals crazy, in bad fats, high carbs, grease, things that are going to then hurt you tomorrow when you're back on your plan. So it's just being responsible, staying committed to your goal, and doing it in moderation.
Okay. So that and you saying that triggered like a second part to that question. So there's some people that I was in the military with and they eat like crap, like pure, straight, all the bad stuff that you can think of, but have an Apack. How is that possible?
Again, every body is different, right? So body composition, metabolism is different. Some people are lucky enough. I mean, I'm not sure if that's even lucky because we can't stop high cholesterol just because we have 6 packs, right? But eventually it might come back to them when they're older. But sometimes when they're younger, they just have these really powerhouse metabolisms. They put in the work physically. So those bad foods don't affect them on the outside. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not affecting them on the inside. And maybe those effects are going to be felt in the long run.
Got it. And so what's the contradiction around fast metabolism and slow metabolism? I think for fast metabolism, you have to eat more frequent in portions,
Hmm.
and then slow, you eat less in bigger portions.
Yeah, so there's a little science behind how to support your metabolism, so that it's running as best as it can, within its capacity, right? Within everybody is different,
Mm-hmm.
and what they've got going on, inside is also different, right? But essentially, in general, you want to continue to feed yourself so that your body continues to work and your metabolism works as it should. So when you are not eating, or you're going like, let's say 5 hours or 6 hours, and then you eat something small, and then you maybe go a couple more hours, so there's no consistency as far as your eating schedule, then your body starts to think, well, I'm not going to get food for a long time, so I need to store this stuff. I need to hold on to this stuff. And the same way your body can store good nutrients, it can also, store what's not good, which then we see as fat. And again, it's not just aesthetics on how it looks, but it's how that person feels. Typically, they won't feel as good or free in their body if they have excess amount of fat.
Got it. Okay. No, super, super informational. So I know we talked about a little earlier, you wanting to open a center. In this center, what exactly would that look like?
So I as the years have passed by, and I've infused fashion with my fitness, which has been a very great marriage, between my two passions. My vision for Well Yes has also expanded to include opportunities for fashion to be a part of it. So I essentially envision this space that, is creative and has, multi purposes that all align to this mission that I have of, body inclusivity in the gym, in the fitness world, in the fashion world, supporting your body and health, and being in community with people who are also, interested in these things. So I want to essentially have like a setup of a studio where I can teach classes. So I'll teach my cycle classes, I'll teach some strength and conditioning classes, and I want to expand my certifications and my experience to also offer, just like, somatic exercise, breath work, some sound healing. So I want to tap into those areas of wellness that I talked about, mind, body, spirit, by way of what I will call workshops, and just be like a hub for people to come and explore their wellness through these workshops. I want to bring in experts once a month to educate the members of the space on a variety of health topics or topics that are tied to any of those domains in wellness. I want it to also be a place where I can host networking mixers for people in the fitness and fashion industry. Because, like I said, I have the two between my activewear line, and then my fitness work. I've really blended the two, and I've found that, there are similar people in both industries, and there are a lot of people who are actually interested in both fitness and fashion, but they just haven't seen a place where that fuses together. So I wanted to just basically be like a creative wellness studio. That's what I've called it in my mind.
No, that sounds like a dope spot. So with your fashion, do you do like runways? Do you have like, what is the activewear exactly? Is it just like workout gear?
So it started as just like gym wear. And the activewear line has, a different branded name, which is Fit Yes. So it's Fit Yes by Well Yes and Co. And again, it's a play on words on the word fitness, putting the Y in place of the N for Yessenia. And but also, it also is like cute because it's also about like, I want to get fit, or say yes to fitness. And these are some things that some people who have worn the clothing have thrown at me, like about the name Fit Yes. So I started as a model. I joined a modeling competition in the fitness category because I wanted to support my fitness career, and I wanted to be able to say that I was in a fitness competition and won or placed. And then that opened the door to modeling. Then I started modeling runway. And then that opened the door for me to consider my own activewear line because I got to interact with designers and I really liked what it looked like to be a designer. I loved being a model, but I wanted to dabble in designing. And I was like, if I'm going to design anything, it has to be activewear because that's what I do and that's what I love, fitness. And that's who I can envision wearing my clothing, the people that I do these classes with and that I motivate and that always love, always look to me as like an example or like love what I'm wearing at the gym. What if what I was wearing, didn't say Victoria's Secret on it? It said Fit Yes, and then what if they wore it? How empowering would that be for our community and for me teaching them and for them coming to my class? So it all sort of just like combined. And so, yeah, I've actually been on the runway a couple of times with the activewear line, Fit Yes. And every time that I do a runway as just a model, I make connections for models for future projects for Fit Yes, or I connect with other designers. And then those open up other opportunities for other shows or fashion events where I can showcase my activewear.
Got it. Okay. And so what was the learning curve in building activewear? Is there certain materials that you use that support, working out, gym functionality stuff, but also cater to a nice aesthetic for the runway?
Yeah, so I have a variety of materials that all have different levels of stretch. And so initially it was just gym wear. Now I've sort of evolved and added outfits that you can sort of like walk out of the gym and go run errands with, or that you can put a blazer on and some heels and sort of dress it up. If you're going to maybe like a professional event that's going to be around fitness, people interested in fitness. And so the learning curve is sort of like not knowing the stretch of the material, not knowing, if it's going to work for exercising or if it's going to be that type of outfit that maybe you don't use for like a hard day. Maybe you use for yoga instead of like leg day. Just pretty much trying different styles to see how is that going to complement every body type. Because I really wanted my activewear to be inclusive. So I wanted anyone to feel like they can wear the clothing and still look and feel confident. So I think that was a big learning curve for me because I knew my body and I knew what kinds of materials my body, was going to like for anything that's active, but not necessarily every other body. And as I started like launching collection after collection, I started to get feedback from different people that I work with, and they would have different body types and they'd be like, well, that's not going to look as good on me, or I don't think I can wear that with my body. And then that started to push me to be like, no, I'm going to look for a way that's not how you feel about Fit Yes, because that's not what Fit Yes is about. And so I have just like different styles that show different curves or hide different curvy parts of our body. Again, different stretches, different materials, and different colors and styles that are going to be, make everyone feel comfortable, from, the really confident person who's okay with, revealing a little bit of skin at the gym, to the other person who, maybe wants to be a little more covered, but everything still has like this nice style where that girl can feel confident.
Got it. Okay. And so the last question, I'm glad you brought it up, around yoga. How important is flexibility to fitness?
It's a part of fitness, right? So flexibility and stability are a part of fitness, just like cardiovascular health and muscle strength and endurance. It's all required because they all work together for your body to do what it needs to do. So if you're not stretching before and after your workouts, you can get hurt. You can actually be limited on your full range of motion. So really getting that exercise done right to be able to build strength. So it all is connected. Oftentimes people will just lift. And I was one of these people as well. Go lift and then go home. That's it. And never stretched before or never stretched after. And so what does that result in? Injuries, or not getting those results that you want. So, going to the gym every day and still not seeing a difference. So you want to be stretching because you want to give room for those muscles to grow and your body to support that.
Got it. So today I learned you'll have to stretch, eat the right foods, Be consistent with it. 90 days is a good structure beforehand. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of information. So if somebody wanted to work with Well Yes or find out more information about, your activewear or working with you as a brand, where could they do that at? And are you, do you have classes? Do you have any specials going on? Anything like that?
Mhm. Yeah, so right now I am working at 24 Hour Fitness. So it's a commercial gym. I'm doing the personal training there, and I also do the cycle and the strength and conditioning classes there. So that's, one way of doing it. Another way is contacting me on my Instagram, which is wellyes_co. And my website, which is where the activewear can be found and other products and services can also be requested, is www.wellyescompany.com. So any of those three avenues are the perfect way to reach out to me and explore how I can either help them with their confidence or their wellness, or give them ideas on how to pursue that or where to go for that. If I can't do it, then I can definitely direct them to the right person.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And so how much is like, the average session that you do or go for?
Depending on if it's private or through the gym.
Mhm.
So the gym is constantly giving out different promotions,
Mhm.
and the price range can, vary from $70 to $100 a session to the gym. And then if I work with a client privately, I typically charge 40 to 60 a session. And that would be outside, of the gym where I work at, but it can be, in another gym or in a public place or a private
Got
place
it.
as
And
well.
you're based in Miami.
I'm currently in Homestead,
Okay.
but for private clients, I can, travel throughout. But at the gym, it would be at the 24 Hour Fitness in Homestead.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to do something special that we always do for our viewers. By the time this episode comes out, we will be sponsoring 2 sessions for individuals who are interested in signing up for Well Yes, just to get a feel for how it is to work with you, Yessenia. Also support local businesses as well. But learned a lot. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming on Attractive Mindset. We really appreciate everything. I want to leave with, what's one key piece of advice you would give somebody that's interested in starting a company around fitness?
I would definitely say never forget your why, and just remember the importance of, wellness over fitness.
Okay. Never forget your why. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. Make sure that make sure you share this with a friend, even if it's not something that you do. We all want to get fit. We all want that summer body, or we just want to just look good in our house. That's cool too. And so make sure that you tune in. It's your host, Mastermind Moneybag Rich. And as we always say, we look good, we live good. Life is good. Talk to us, we talk back. And we out of here.